I'm changing the oil on my front forks. The seals are fine, no leaks. I use these as service seal savers, the full length ones. I swear by these, I've never had a blown seal. I use the neoprene ones on my 890 because I just couldn't find the service ones. They're fine also. Just remember, after a ride, when you go to clean it, take them off so you can clean everything. Don't pressure wash anything upwards so you're not pushing all the shit back under your seals. Anyways, so I'm changing the oil, and this is a WP Xplor closed cartridge. How do you know if you have a closed cartridge if you don't have the manual? If the top of your fork looks like this with the 4 slots, then it's a closed cartridge. Where this orange check valve is on the stock, there is a Torx 15 with O-ring in there. You're supposed to unscrew it to let the air out. I would highly recommend changing it to one of these check valves. And get the good brand name ones. The cheap ones, they don't seal well, and so it's sucking air in. So this is STR, or you can get the Motion Pro one. So if you have the 4 slots, you have closed cartridge. The older ones had a bladder in here, air bladder. How do you know if you have an air bladder? If there is another Torx like this one around this area, not this, this is just to hold the clicker in. If there's another Torx here, then you know you have an air bladder. If you don't see another Torx, you don't have an air bladder. So this is a WP Xplor closed cartridge on my 24 350 XEF. I don't have a vise and grips to hold the forks when I'm working on it, so I have to do things slightly different. I suggest before you take the wheel off, use a 22mm socket. You don't have to take the clicker off. This is the clicker that is at the bottom of the fork. The 22mm fits in there, and it doesn't bother the clicker. So, but if you wanted to take the clicker off, you can. You have to use a Torx. But I don't need to. So before you take the wheel off, use a 22mm socket and loosen that bolt slightly. Not all the way, you don't want all the oil coming out. Just loosen it. There's an O-ring, so oil won't come out. Then loosen these 2 bolts. Don't forget to loosen these 2 bolts on your triple tree, because if you don't, you won't be able to unscrew the cap, because this is putting pressure on the threads. You won't be able to, and you may damage the threads. So unscrew these, loosen them all together, not these ones, just the top ones. Then use a 50mm wrench. I got this one because it has a 1/2 inch for a 1/2 inch drive, so when I go to put the cap back on, I can torque it to spec. With these, if your torque wrench is 90 degrees, so that way, you don't need to recalculate the torque. But if your torque wrench is lengthwise, because you're extending this, you would have to recalculate your torque. And here it tells you what you need to do. If you don't, then if you're putting 50 Newton meters and your torque wrench is this way, you end up actually putting probably around 54 Newton meters. So if it is at 90 degrees, you don't need to recalculate your torque. So you get your 50mm wrench. Motion Pro is good. I'm going to put all the tools and torque specs in the description. loosen these. After you've loosened that 22 mil bolt from the bottom, you go here. This is the cartridge, we'll get to that. I have unscrewed everything just to make life quicker. You put your 50 mil wrench on here and just loosen it a little bit. You're not going to be able to loosen that because it's going to turn, I believe. So just loosen this and the one at the bottom. Once you have done that, now before any of this, I would clean the hell out of your bike. No mud or dirt anywhere. So anyway, so you've gone that far, then you're going to loosen these two bolts. Be careful it doesn't drop. I have done that already. Good God, my hands are oily. I'm going to let this sit here for a minute. Okay, then you just twist and pull. There you go. And it will come out. Then once you have it out, you won't be able to, imagine the cartridge is screwed all the way back in, so you cannot see the, hold on, so you cannot see this O-ring. So that is your 50 mil. Then you're going to unscrew that. And then it's going to slide down. You won't be able to pull this out because you haven't unscrewed the rebound bolt. But you get it to this stage, then you're going to empty the oil. I suggest using a clear beaker or whatever, so you can see how dirty the oil is, if there is any metal shavings whatsoever or any contaminants. Then you just empty your oil into there, let it sit for a while. I don't have any vices or grips, so I have made my own little guys. Okay, so as the oil is running out, you can come up here. Since you have loosened this, you will go ahead and unscrew this all the way. I would keep all the parts from the left and right sides separate. It shouldn't matter, but these are all man-made. So now that you have unscrewed this, let's say all the oil has gone out, you should then be able to pull this guy all the way out. Trying to do everything with one hand is totally retarded. Okay, so we've separated these two. Then I leave the inner and outer. I will leave them upside down. I made my own little, using grips to catch. Fuck's sake. All right. So that can keep on getting rid of the oil. Then here, to get rid of the spring, just push down on the spring a little bit and remove this retaining clip. Okay, I'm going to put the phone down a minute. Just push down on it a little bit. Remove the retaining clip. Remove your spring. Then there's going to be spacers, washers. In my case, I have a white one, the black ring, and there should be, there it is, there should be a metal washer or spacer. I mean, yours may be different. Just remember which way they go. That metal washer sometimes gets stuck down here, so look for it. All right, there and there. So I've got all these for this side. And then now you need to open the cartridge. Now, the cartridge has a little weep hole here. So before you open it, if you push down on this plunger, some oil will come out of there. Once you've got it, some of the oil out, you need a 24mm wrench. And you see here you have the two flat spots. The wrench, open-ended wrench goes there. Then you use a tool from Motion Pro. Basically, it has 4 legs that go into these 4 slits. I have ordered it, it's not here, and since I don't have patience to wait, I ended up using my long nose pliers. Basically, I put the wrench at the bottom, I hold it between my legs, and then the tool goes up here and you just give it a turn. That only has 30 Newton meters. I will put all the torque specs in the description, but the cartridge is 30 Newton meters. The 50mm cap is 50 Newton meters, and the rebound bolt at the bottom is 40 Newton meters. The clickers, if you want to take them off for whatever reason, the top one is 2 Newton meters, and the rebound clicker is 1.5 Newton meters. So you put the wrench there, put your tool on top, and give it a turn. It will open up. Then just unscrew it. Not here. This thread is going to be all the way down. Then once you've unscrewed it a little bit, it's going to be under pressure because there is seals in here, and it's going to be full of oil. So go ahead, turn it, get rid of the oil. Again, I suggest a clear beaker so you can look for any metal shavings, or just to see how dirty your oil inside the cartridge is. On mine, the oil in the main chamber was dirtier than the one in the cartridge. You will get rid of some of the oil, and then what you can do, you will use this as a plunger. You will see as you pull it up, oil will gush out. You will do this a few times. It's going to be hard, and then once the oil comes out, it will be loose like this. Once you've done that, then you can pull this guy out all the way if you wanted to. I'm going to do it. You don't really need to, but I'm going to do it so you can see what it all looks like. And there. So you can check for any issues. Then I'm going to leave them for at least half an hour. in my case, I don't have the oil. The oil is getting here tomorrow, so I'm gonna leave these overnight. So all the oil will run out. Then tomorrow I'm gonna clean it with suspension clean everything, and oil all the O-rings, and I will be putting some grease right on this O-ring and on the thread. Not a lot, you don't want that to get into your system, because these are aluminum, and you don't want them galling and getting stuck. And I do the same. I put anti-seize on all these bolts, even anti-seize on this guy, your chain adjuster. Anyways, back to here. So I will clean it all up. Obviously, I basically clean this entire area before I do anything. But then before I open anything, I use a brake cleaner and I clean all the surfaces, make sure there is no dust, dirt, mud anywhere that can get into your system. Tomorrow, before I put it all back together and put oil, I'm going to clean it, use my air to blow anything stuck in there out. I know all the oil has gone out. I will clean inside the triple tree with Scotch-Brite. And now is a good time, by the way, if you have those ugly ass reflectors that they put on here, it's a good time to get those out, and then use I don't know, mineral spirits or whatever you have to get rid of the glue, and then clean all that. Look for any scratches. If it is minor on the outside, it's just cosmetic, you can use that. But if you have any big scratches or anything on here, then you're probably up shit creek. Unless it is very fine scratch, then yeah, you may be able to get away with this. Before I put it back together, I take out the dust seals here. Use very fine flathead and take your time, because if you slip and you damage your inner tube, then you're up shit creek again. So very fine. If you can find something even narrower than this, great. Just want to get, there is a tool, but you know, there's a tool for everything, but I don't have it. So I put it here, took my time. I just hold the end. I work like this. I don't hold it from back here. And then I pry it a little bit. Once I've pried it a little bit, then I use this bigger one, fatter one. And again, like this, I put it in there and keep prying it around. And then I pull that out. I looked. In my case, there was not even a particle of dust. But then I use my seal saver to clean around the dust cap. Make sure there's nothing caught under there. Looked beyond with a flashlight. It was clean. And I swear by these seal savers. I've never had a blown seal. So, sorry, I lie. I did have one on my older 890 before I started using seal savers. So now I use these, or the neoprene ones. I couldn't find the long ones for the 890, so I used the shorter 6-inch neoprene ones. Just remember, when you go to wash the bike, take those off, wash them, and wash your forks without them on. So that was all cleaned it, checked it, and then I put a dab of grease on the backside. So imagine this is higher up. Once I have taken the dust cap off, I push it down, or up in this case, and I put, after I've cleaned it, I put a dab of grease around it, and then I push it down, and that grease hopefully will help some more, protecting it from mud, dust, and all that. Clean everything, and then I suppose you're supposed to put oil. I'm using what the manufacturer says, which is Motor X 4-weight. I know a lot of people use, Bel-Ray or whatever, but they are 5-weight. I don't think it makes that much difference, but if you do the math, it's 1 weight more on a 4-weight. 1 weight more is 25%. So it would make your suspension, I suppose, your fork stiffer. For some people, that actually may be what they're looking for. So anyways, the quantity of the oil that you're supposed to put in the cartridge area is 175 milliliters. So you put your oil in there, and then you move that plunger up and down so it sucks the oil in. Once you don't see any air bubbles, then you can put your cartridge in and tighten it. The torque spec for the cartridge is 30 Newton meters. Once you've done that, you put everything back together. Put your bottom bolt in, 22 mil. Obviously, I mean, if you can tighten it and torque it to spec, and that is 40. Before you put it on the bike, great. If not, just tighten it as much as you can. Once the O-ring seats, you're not gonna, no oil is gonna come out. Then you can, once it's back on the bike, you can torque it. But if you can torque it now, great. Then the amount of oil in the main chamber is 370. So 370 main chamber, 175 milliliters in the cartridge chamber. So you pour your oil in the main chamber, and you close it up. Again, if you can torque the top cap before you've put it on the bike, great. If not, just hand tighten it. Once it's on the bike, you can go ahead and hand tighten it. But make sure you hand tighten it before you've tightened these guys. And if I were you, I would torque these. If it is the cast, it actually says it on my bike. If it is cast, it's 20 Newton meters, and I believe this one is 15. Yeah. So before you tighten this, if you haven't torqued the top cap already, torque it and then tighten. And then just put your wheel back. Altogether, if you have the tools the first time, because you will be apprehensive like I was without the right tools and vice grips and all that, it really didn't take that long. Once you have all your tools and you've done it once or twice, you will see it's probably just as quick as changing oil in the engine. And this had 67 hours, a couple of thousand miles on it, and it wasn't too bad. No metal shavings, no contaminants. It wasn't milky, so I know no water had gotten in there. But it was, it wasn't fresh oil. The shock, I've taken it out. I didn't want to mess with the shock. I didn't have all the tools, so I'm actually sending it away to factory connections that are near me in PA. I highly recommend it. Probably next time I won't change it until 100 hours because it wasn't too bad at all. Okay, hope it helped. I'll put all the specs and tools in the description. Thanks. Tally ho.